Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for the report and your presentation. I think everyone in the room knows that yesterday the French Environment Minister, Nicolas Hulot, resigned. And he gave 3 reasons why he'd resigned. Lack of support and action on climate change, lack of support and action on pesticides, and lack of support and action on biodiversity. And he cited in particular lack of support for the reintroduction of the wolf and the bear in France as the reason why he resigned. So I just put that out there as part of the debate. I'm sure that you're aware there's a discussion about the possible reintroduction of the lynx in Kielder Forest in the northeast of England in my constituency. And there's understandably a debate going on in the northeast of England and more widely in the United Kingdom about the reintroduction of carnivores, in this case the European wildcat, the lynx. And I wondered if maybe you could give, if a farmer in the northeast of England were to say to you, I have concerns about the reintroduction of the wildcat, what would you actually say to them?
So, my opinion of the debate around lynx reintroduction in the UK is that it has been rather naive. It has been a debate led by an NGO as opposed to a debate led by government agencies. And certainly I feel some of the ways that the particular NGO here has been portraying the future scenarios have been rather optimistic or naive. Looking at the way sheep are farmed in the northern part of kind of England and Scotland, where they are grazing on the hill for 12 months a year, they're lambing on the hill, I would expect the conflicts to be much closer to the Norwegian level than to the Swiss level or the other levels which are often claimed in media. So certainly I would say that the reintroduction of lynx to Britain will be very challenging. It'll be very complicated, very expensive, and very conflictful. So I would certainly say that it needs to be seriously looked at by government agencies, and that a lynx reintroduction to any country is not something an NGO can ever take a lead on. Large carnivore reintroduction or restoration in any landscape is a government task. It is a total fundamental shift in the way that the countryside is portrayed, which again I think is an answer to some of the queries or the statements about conservationists having a naive view of what this means. Having carnivores back is a fundamental shift in the way that we manage our landscapes, no doubt about that. And certainly Britain needs to be aware of that. It's not something you add on. It requires a fairly fundamental change. But the question, which I feel is is about how do we make that change? Because I think, at least on the continent of Europe, there's the option of questioning it. The legislation and public opinion mandate this change. The question is, how do we learn to live with that? In the UK, you have the choice. There is nobody forcing a reintroduction of lynx. So it is a step that can be made, a choice that can be made. Biologically, it probably could work. But certainly you do need to have a very honest look at if you actually want to make that step.